Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti. There is a question we have. Why is truth only one when lies are multifarious? I think the question is from the context that I had referred in the last class of Vivekananda raising this very interesting inquiry, investigation into what is the nature of truth and what is the nature of lies. So we all understand that truth is one. And the famous example being given to all of us is this. There is only one rope out of which we have got many misunderstandings. One person will call it as snake, another person will call it as a garland, another person will call it as a pipe, another person will call it as the root of a tree, etc. But all these are false. So we say truth is one, the false are many. This is the reason why we keep saying that. But then Vivekananda raises this interesting question as to why there cannot be many truths also. Right? Why is it has to be there is only one truth, which is more of a challenging a stance. That's about it. There is no certainty that yes, there are many truths. That is not what he is saying. He is only asking this: why are we making truth so poor? When false lies can be many, it is so rich. If you say truth is only one, it looks very weak and less strong. And the days in which where we are discussing democracy, if those two were to stand for election, who will win? Hands down, lies will win. Why? Because of the number. So he is asking why that has to be the case. If false can appear in many ways, why not truth also appear in many ways? So here when he is asking, he is referring to the possibilities for God to appear. Why not God also be many? When we say there are many demons, or else we have to say there is only one God and there is only one demon. There is no many demons. No, sir. We are having many ghosts. Many demons are there. So he says, if demons can take very many forms, why not God also take many forms? Why are we making God incapacitated to take any form? Isn't it? These are all process of inquiry, remember. Suppose if we say God has only one form, God is perpetually only with form. Again, there is a problem. Again, he goes on to that inquiry. He says, suppose if you say God is perpetually with form, then the question comes is, God is helpless. God has no other choice not to have a form. Correct? And then we say God is all powerful. See, all powerful means if he chooses to have a form, he will have a form. If he chooses not to have a form, he will not have a form. Then you can call him as all powerful. So the form becomes a necessity for God, or God becomes helpless. By making God with form, and that too with one form. Suppose if we say God has no form at all, God can never have a form, again we are into trouble. Again, that is also in putting us in difficulty. So either case, we have not investigated. We are just blindly accepting and agreeing to whatever is being stated by people, full stop. We don't probe, we don't inquire, we don't investigate. All that Vivekananda is asking us to do is to go through a proper inquiry. Do an independent investigation. Question it. Don't just go on accepting and agreeing. Sir, it's all gray only, There is no black and white. Sir, gray is nothing but less black, no? Huh? Less black is gray, or more white, which is gray color. Suppose if we say, if you take a stand, isn't it? Nowadays you keep hearing, no? There is no absolute right and wrong, sir. There is nothing is black and white. It's all gray. When a person says it's all gray, what is a gray color? Is it more white or less black? Or less white or less black? Which one do you understand? When you see a gray color, you understand gray as what? So black becomes a reference point to a person who says there is no such thing called black and white. He is agreeing the existence of black. He is only questioning the existence of white. He only says there is no such thing called white. He or she, it doesn't matter. So every time I use the word he, you have to add it, /she. I will not be repeating it every time. So any time a human were to say, we just take it for granted without inquiry process. This is a inquiry process. You question. By questioning alone, there is a possibility for you to grasp a proper understanding of the subject. When you are not investigated, without you having investigated independently, you subscribe to certain conclusions. That is called a delusion. You have not done any investigations there. Somebody has done that investigation and they have arrived at certain conclusions. And you are simply subscribing to that. So one person says there is Nirguna Brahman, world is Maya. Another person says, no, world is real. World is not illusion. Now, who is correct? Another person says it is in between. It is neither this nor that. One person says you go to Vaikunta, another person says you go to Shivaloka. Another person says nothing of that, sir. You just go and wait for the judgment day. All this is false. Then we get into this questioning as to on what basis those conclusions have been arrived at. What are the steps? How they have arrived at it? And what is the backdrop of the person who is, like we say, anytime you see this science journals, and they say, this is a research paper being published. This is the finding of the research. I always tell them, find out who has sponsored that research. Find out who has funded for the research. If you know who has funded for the research, and then you see the research, suddenly you will understand so many things. You see, those who are growing this, what is that, oil? Not in between they're having, don't have coconut oil, use only this oil. What is that oil? They are saying that, what is that oil? Some oil there in between, this oil is very bad, coconut oil is very bad, so you should have only olive oil, correct? Olive oil, correct. One person following. Thanks, Anita. Anita Bhavani is the only one who had given answer. See, you should help the teacher also, no? Sometimes. You are also looking like IAO. Olive oil. Very interesting one. No? In between, everyone. I go to a house and they give, idli. I ask them, chutney pudi. Along with the chutney pudi, the fellow is having, olive oil. I said, chutney pudi, you're having olive oil? I said, it doesn't taste good with that. They say, no, olive oil is very good for health. Coconut oil is very, very bad for health. Now, who did the research? Who funded for the research? You go and find out that, you will suddenly see why such conclusions have been arrived at, isn't it? Like if I tell you people, now look for blue color around you. Look around. Don't keep looking at me. Right? When you look around, suddenly you will realize, there is one blue here. There's another one blue there. I have found two blues here. 30 seconds before, no blue was registering in my mind. The moment I said, look for blue, I get to register the presence of blue. Same way, look for the benefits of olive oil vis-a-vis other oils. It's just a question of collection of data, full stop. This, on what basis, how that is done, you have to investigate. So when you are making that investigations, inquiries, you need to see the context also. You can't remove the context out and study it. Most of us study without the context as a reference point. So your investigation should always keep that in mind. So when Vivekananda he is not making a statement. He is only challenging, why do we have to limit the truth? As though truth is so helpless and weak. So suddenly our whole perspective changes. At least for me, it was such a staggering question. I said, correct, no? Why we are saying lies can be many? In our house, there is a way to organize things. Kitchen, every lady has an idea of how the kitchen should be organized. What should be where? Whether it is all Indian kitchen, all South Indian kitchen, all North Indian kitchen, all Gujarati kitchen, Punjabi kitchen, any kitchen you go. You go to the kitchen, they have organized things, right? You change that, they feel it is wrong way of doing it. Is it not? So what is the right way of organizing? Only one. What is it, sir? My way. Any other changes? Now, what all the wrong ways in which the kitchen can be organized? There you will find so many possibilities. Folding. Have you seen folding? The clothes? Arranging the clothes? How you fold and how you arrange it. There is one way, which the way you got used to. That is the right way. If anybody were to do different than that, and how many options are there for that? There you have many options. This is what we call as lies, wrongs, wrong way of doing it. And the right way of doing it is only one, and the wrong way of doing it is many. So what is the right way? My way is the right way. See, you can, this is just to challenge us, remember. Vivekananda is only whipping the intellect to probe, question. So like that, you can go on expanding it into many aspects. Right? That is the idea there. There's no statement. It is a question. Right? So now we are moving to the next chapter, chapter 21. Happens to be the last chapter of the book. I can see many of you getting relief. Appa. At last we are finishing the book. Right. That thou art. Has 5 topics. I'm just reading the topics. The 4 aphorisms, the Mahavakyas, the 4 Mahavakyas. I am God. Finite is infinite. Characteristics of self-development. Know thyself. These are the 5 topics we have. Now, essentially, this chapter deals with the Mahavakya. Now, when we say Mahavakya, need to have certain basic understanding. These are all preliminary. Of course, we could have done that earlier. We would have, dealt with it, but may not be in this fashion. Right? Now, any knowledge you have to gain. For you to gain knowledge of something, you need to engage an appropriate instrument. Isn't it? If you have to gain the knowledge of a color of an object, how long if you keep licking that object, you will get to know the color of that object? How long if you go on smelling it? Sir, for the another 2.5 hours, I will keep smelling that object. I will get to know the color of it. Straight away, I can't get it, sir. But by going on smelling for over a period of time, I will get to know is it possible? We'll say it is not possible. Why? Because to know the color, you have to engage your eyes. Whatever be the strength of your eyes, right? Assumption is you have proper eyes. You are not blind, or you are not colorblind. Right? There are people who are colorblind. Some of us don't know how to tell that color. See that? Violet and indigo, right? Many times we miss it. At least I miss it many times. I get confused. Violet, blue, and then in between some colors. Every time in the house that is a fight. I tell her, just bring that box from the cupboard. Who he says, who told you it is this color? Some names and all she will say. Coral color, she will say. I say, that's brown. She says, that's not brown. This is called coral. I say, oh. We don't know the name. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about recognizing that color. Registration of color is possible only by the eyes. Right? Now, how are we to understand emotion, frustration, anger, jealousy, insecurity, depression, compassion, kindness, love, pity, sympathy? Can you use your eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin? Is it possible for us to gain that knowledge of kindness through eyes? That's not possible. How do you understand number system? You have to employ something else, isn't it? Many things in life we understand not through the engagement of the senses. We understand that through the engagement of another method called inference. We infer many things in life, isn't it? You hear a sound as you are driving a car. You hear a sound. You infer there is a bigger truck behind you coming very close. You are supposed to leave way. If you are not going to give way, he will ram you and go. So therefore, what do? You move. When you move, you find one kinetic Honda passing by. See that? In Bangalore, we see that. Kinetic Honda fellow will have a horn. Of a truck horn, they will keep inside. When the horn blows, you hear it, you infer a truck. Did you see that? No, you only inferred it. Isn't it? Like in the Shastras, they give a standard example. At a distance, you see the smoke and you infer the presence of a fire. So many things in life we infer. We don't actually see. Pratyaksha is not the method for everything. Many things we infer. And then you have another method of comparison. You get to know there is something through comparing with something else. You do not know bison. Right? When you don't know bison, I give something as a reference point. Bison is something which will look like a bull. You seen the bull? Yes, I have seen the bull. It will look 2.5 size of the bull is that bison. Oh. Next time when you go to the forest, in the forest when you see that, you understand what is it now. You will also start calling that as bison. This is how you understand certain things. There is a difference between inference and the second example. Remember, in yonder, you see the smoke, you infer fire. How did you infer that? Which is different from now you are recognizing bison in the jungle. This is bison. You fix it, no. That inference is different. This inference is different. So in that itself, they give very many methods, but all those things gets clubbed in and we say it is all inference. To be very precise, this is Arthapathi Pramana. First one is inference. How did you infer? Because earlier you have seen, wherever you have seen the presence of a smoke, that smoke always in your Pratyaksha, in your perception, it was always with the fire. You have seen the fire without smoke. Possible. But you have never seen a smoke without a fire. That is your Pratyaksha earlier. Using that as a reference only, you are confidently saying, now I see the smoke, therefore there has to be a fire. You see the difference? In the second case, you have not heard, you have heard only there is a thing called bison, that's about it, but you don't know. But you know a bull, you know a cow. Because in the village you have seen that. In the villages you have seen it, but in the forest when you go, that bison is different from the bull. But it has a lot of resemblance. You see that? You have never seen bison and bull together. This is a second one. And then there is another method also they say. Can you just go into your room and check whether I am there? If I call the fellow and say, can you just check whether, or you go and say, is the gas on? The person goes, sees, it's not there, it's not. How did you recognize it is not? That is also knowledge, no? It's not there. He is not there. She is not there. You recognizing the absence of something is also called knowledge. It is actually absence. This is called Anuplabdhi. Another one. Then you have this Upamana. All these three put together is inference. When we use the word inference, we put all this together. Three things. So first one, Pratyaksha Pramana. Second one, Anumana Pramana. In that Anumana Pramana, we add three things. Anumana Pramana, Arthapathi Pramana, and Anuplabdhi Pramana. All three gets added together. Even though there is a difference. Technically, there is a difference between the three. But then for convenience purpose, we put all together. Easier. Right? So whenever you are discussing, we have been studying Vedanta. People will ask, what are the pramanas you use? One is in that deduction, you deduce things. In the deduction, there are three. What is that? One is called inference. One, another one is this Arthapathi and Anuplabdhi. Then we have the another method. Certain things in life we get to know through comparison. You don't know, you are never going to see that, but then you gain the knowledge. We are not going to see how Chhatrapati Shivaji fought with Mughals. We can't go there and check. Right? He's not there now. We can't go and verify it. But then the comparison is given. Like how Tiger fights. Same way Shivaji fought with Mughals. What does it mean? You understand certain things now. Now you see this one and understand. So this is called Upamana. Right. So we have Pratyaksha, Anumana, Arthapathi, Anuplabdhi, and Upamana. Arthapathi is a very standard example they give in the Shastras. You see, a man says, I am fasting. I am not eating at all. Anytime you see the guy is not eating. Daytime, whole day he is with you. He is not eating. But he is never getting tired, nor he is losing weight. That means what? Correct, sir? This fellow is not eating in the daytime, but he is eating in the night. That's what you understand, no? How? This is called Arthapathi. You see that? How you infer certain things. So this is different from Anumana Pramana. There is a difference between Anumana Pramana and Arthapathi Pramana. So that is there. Now, when you have to gain this knowledge of God, Brahman, which one you can employ? These are the known sources. These are the 5 instruments, 5 methods through which we gain knowledge. These are the 5. Pratyaksha, Anumana, Arthapathi, Anuplabdhi, Upamana. Through these 5 methods, is it possible for us to gain the knowledge of God, Brahman, truth, reality, etc.? We find none of these instruments can be engaged. All these instruments fail to communicate the knowledge of Brahman. So, remember, why we are discussing is which instrument you have to engage will be decided not based on the popularity of the instrument, decided based on what you are going to investigate. The subject for investigation. Like in the beginning, the subject for our investigation was color. What is the color of this object? What is the color of this flower? That's the subject of investigation. Depending on the subject of investigation only, we can decide which instrument to be employed. Isn't it? Which pramana to be used. Now, we can't decide on our own. We have to decide it based on what we are going to investigate. Now, the subject of investigation is Brahman. God. The moment you say subject of investigation becomes God, Brahman, then all these 5 pramanas go out. We have to rely on the 6th pramana, which is known as Shabda Pramana or Agama Pramana, which is the Veda. Vedas becomes the reference point for us to make that investigation. Upanishads becomes that reference point for us to decide on what is it. Now there is a problem. Up to this, there is no problem. Right? Here, Pratyaksha Pramana means what? Perception. Pratyaksha doesn't mean only seeing. Remember, we have included what all? What are the 5 senses we have? Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin. These are the 5 senses we have. Correct? Shabda is what? Sound. Sound is heard by the ears. Then the Shabda Pramana is already included in Pratyaksha, no? You're all with me. I don't know how many of you have had this quick question. I've never had, I was waiting. Somebody will ask this question. We have taken this, Pramana classes many times. Right? In the introduction itself, we have done this. Vedanta introduction. This is introduction. Remember. Sir, when we have deleted Pratyaksha, we have already deleted hearing. Sound is gone already. Now suddenly he is bringing in a separate pramana called Shabda Pramana. So, then what is the difference between in Pratyaksha hearing the Shabda vis-a-vis this Shabda Pramana? Necessitates a different investigation. Now, all these are preliminary for us to probe into the subject. That's the what? Mahavakya. Unless you understand all this, we are in trouble. So what we have to do, sir? Mahavakya. Mahavakya means great vakya, sentence. Great sentence. Very big sentence. Big sentence. Maha means big. Big sentence. How many words are now? 3 words. Another one is only 2 words. Prajnanam Brahma. That's all. 2 words only. Right? And 2 words you write. I remember, I don't know how many of you now when they look back, it looks ridiculous. How delusive we were earlier. The first English philosophy book I read or I attempted to read was commentary of Sri Aurobindo on Isavasya Upanishad. Upanishads, there is a book, the Upanishads. It's a book. My father got that book to give it to my brother, not to me. He just brought the book and gave it to him. He wanted to study, so he got the book and he gave it to him. Since it was there, I picked up. I said, let's read. Mahavakya means that is the real Mahavakya. First sentence, he starts, and there is no full stop. In the next page only the full stop comes. I said, I couldn't just follow. I don't know anybody followed. Amazing the verse. All punctuation possibilities I knew of in English language, it is there, except full stop, except that period. That's where sentence gets over, no? When you put a period or a full stop, that's where sentence gets over. It was just going on. I said, Mudingappa, by the time he finishes the first sentence, that should be Mahavakya, actually speaking. Should be termed as Mahavakya, not Prajnanam Brahma, Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, I am Atma Brahma. That's all. These are the 4 Mahavakyas we are going to study. Just such a, 3 words, that's all. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. This is another one which is referred as Mahavakya. There are many Mahavakyas. We have just selected 4. Remember, there is a reason for picking out the 4. There are 2 reasons for that to be picked up. All that we will see that when we go there. Now, when we say we are going to study this Mahavakyas, first we should understand what is a Vakya. If you don't understand what is a Vakyam, sentence, and what are the conditions needed for that sentence, right? Renan Martin. Sentence is what? Group of words making sense. Correct. Has to be group of words making definite meaning. There has to be meaning to it. Right. Just you can't have words and say this is called a sentencer. No, it has to be communicating something. There has to be a specific meaning. Now here we divide first the sound. The sound has one aspect is called as Dhvani. Right? Dhvani Rupa, that is Dhvanyatmaka sound. Dhvanyatmaka sound is And I say, what do you understand? Shh. Or birds chirping. You hear that sound, correct? When a bird's chirping, you hear the sound. But does it communicate anything? You just get the dhvani, that's about it. Right? Then you have this Varnatmaka is there. Varana means the group. Remember, we are studying grammar now. Sanskrit. Very basic. This is. Varnamala they give. Ka Varna, Gha Varna. You see that? Ka 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 Ga Nga, Ta 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 Da Na, Pa 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 Ma. That is the Varna. One group. That is a different one. Say, if you were to be hearing the news, I don't know how many of you have attempted. Korean news you should hear. News channel. Right. Very interesting to see that Korean movie, Japanese movie, don't have that having this dubbing. I'm not talking about that. In that language only. When you hear that sound, what is that comes? What is that you hear there? Korean news. Only sound you hear. There is no meaning to that sound. There is no artha jnana. You can register the sound, but that sound will not give you any knowledge. There is no new understanding that will arise out of that hearing. Now you see the difference between Pratyaksha Pramana and Shabda Pramana. in Shabda Pramana, what should be the case, sir? You should hear that. Also, there has to be a new understanding that should come out of that hearing the sound. When you will get it, how you will get it? Only with the sounds which are not made up of Dhvani, it should be Varna. Those sounds collected and made a word. And what is a sentence? Sentence is nothing but this words collected. Does word collection itself makes a sentence? They say no. There are conditions. What are the conditions? They give 3 conditions. Basic conditions this is. Very little grammar only. Don't worry. Because I also only this much. Even I don't know more than this. Okay. So don't think that since I am speaking all these things, he is a scholar. I know only this much. Whatever I know, I'm just going to give you today. That's it. Right. What is the sentence? Sentence is collection of definitive words. Words is a collection of definitive sounds with a particular meaning. That's called a vakya. Right. Now, what is the condition, sir? Condition is, first one is referred to as Akanksha. Is the condition for a sentence. Meaning, there is an expectation. I say, Rama. Rama. What Rama? Rama what? Rama, immediately you anticipate something, no? Isn't it? What happened to Rama? Who's Rama? What did he do? What is going on? You say. That expectation that is triggered from that should be completed. It should satiate that. A sentence should satiate that is the first one. Then they give another beautiful condition for that. Yogyata. And the grammar, they give fascinating example for that. This is where, we understand how we call this as Sanskrit. Sanskrit is not a right way of pronouncing it. Actually, Sanskrit is the right way. There, English looks very ordinary. All that he says is what? It should make a meaning, correct? Now here they say no. It should also have a yogyata. Yogyata means you sprinkle, no? This when you do havans and puja and all those things, you sprinkle water to purify things, or you do prokshanam, you do round. You take water and pour it around the kund and all that. Have you seen? Or this Brahmins before they have meal, they take a spoon of water and go around 3 times the leaf, and then they start eating. Right? Imagine I make a statement. Do prokshanam with fire. Sentence is correct, no? Do prokshanam, pariseshanam you do, no? Those who do that, do pariseshanam with fire. Imagine there is an instruction. There are many instructions given. Do it this way, do it that way. You should sit in this way, in this fashion, facing in that direction. This, so much of detail they go. One of the instructions given in that performance of the ritual is you have to take Agni and do prokshanam or sprinkle. Now, how can you take Agni and do prokshanam? So, as a vakya should have this condition what? If I say, with fire, do cooking, na, that is possible. With fire, do prokshanam, how is that possible? So that vakya should have what? Yogyata should be there. Akanksha, Yogyata, and Sannidhi. Sannidhi means these words should be uttered in succession. You cannot do this cut paste. Yesterday, one statement, one word. Today, I say another word. Day after, I say another word. After that, I say another word. Take all the words, put together and say, sir, you only said that, no? This is what we are doing now. This all the, many of the things that we are seeing today in the social media and all that. What are they doing? They just take. It need not be your voice at all, actually. But it is your voice, it is your statements only. How? You have never said that. But then how did it that do, sir? They just take that one letter being pronounced by that person and add all together. Different places, different words spoken, connected together. Can it become a sentence? No. Sentence means the words have to be falling in succession. Should be stated one after the other. Only then it becomes a sentence. Vakya. Otherwise, it is not a vakya. So first we have understood what is called a Vakyam. Now, if you don't know what is Vakyam, where are we going to understand what is Mahavakya there? Right? Now, in that Vakya, you need to have the knowledge of two things. One, you should be able to get the meaning of each word. Padartha Jnanam should be there. And also, you should have Vakyartha Jnanam. These are the two things. Pada, each word meaning, and then there has to be a sentence meaning. Right? There we go into this inquiry of what is this Veda. It's all full of sound, words. Sounds being uttered, the words being uttered. The words of the master coming in succession, giving us a definite possibility to do something, and it satisfies our expectation. All put together becomes our knowledge. Otherwise, it is not a complete sentence. So now we have got the basic idea of what that sentence is. Then they move into different types of sentences. Right, little grammar only. No, you don't do it. Today's class is little. Just have to stretch a bit. Because we have not studied it earlier, today it looks little heavy perhaps. Grammar class nale bore na. Right? Any grammar, it doesn't matter whether it is English grammar or Tamil grammar or Sanskrit grammar, any grammar you go, it is a boring class only. What to do? But then once you get used to it, it is such a pleasure to study that, to understand those sentences. Now here, I'm not going to give what are the various types. There is one particular type of a sentence. Right. The sentence goes something like this. Dasharatha Putra, Dharmastapaka, Dasharatha Putra, Dharmastapaka, Dayalu, Rama, Gachati. All these words are very easy for you. The only, that's all. It's very easy. Rama, you know, refers to Rama. Correct? Different words. Okay. Different words referring to one. What are the words? Dasharatha Putra. Referring to who? Rama. Dharma Stapaka. What did he do? Dasharatha Putra. Who is Rama? Then, what did he do? Established Dharma. Dharma Stapaka. 2. 3. What is his quality? What is his nature? Nature is Dayalu. He is very charitable. Very good. Dayalu. Very charitable person he is. Rama, he is coming. Gachati coming. Now, this sentence, what are the words we had? What are the padarthas we had? Padas. There are 4 padas. Dasharatha Putra, Dharmastapaka, Dayalu, Rama. All refers to one person only. One person, his name is Rama. Who is he? He is Dasharatha's son. What did he do? He established Dharma and he is of charitable in nature. Correct? This sentence you need to remember. That's all. If you understand this one sentence uniqueness and the properties of this one sentence, we will be able to understand this Mahavakyas. Other Vakyas are not necessary. Say, for example, there is another Vakya where same Rama will take. Rama brings water from the well for his son in a pot. Rama brings water from the well for his son in the pot. So here, what is this? Rama brings water, well, then son, pot. All these 5 are what? All these 5 has no connection, isn't it? There's no connection. Bringing is a verb, so that we keep aside. So when you take all these words, there are 5 words we have used, and all these 5 words are referring to different things, isn't it? Rama is different. Rama brings water different from the well. Well is different. Sun is different. Pot is different. 5 words, 5 different things. Which means if the number of words were used in a sentence referring to each word, referring to independently one object, and there is no connection. Pot is different, well is different, sun is different, water is different, Rama different. There is no connection. All words are independent. Whereas in the first sentence, what did we see? Dasharatha Putra, same person. Rama, same person. Then Dasharatha Putra, Dayalu, same. Dharmasthapaga, same. All four words are referring to the same person. These are the basic two types of sentences. That's all. This is applicable to any language. Don't think it is only in Sanskrit. In any language you go, you have those types of sentences. In this, the first type of sentence is what this Mahavakya is. Why? Why? Because different words, one object. Two, the reference should be to the same from different angle. Same using different words should not be there. Synonymous terms, no. We are not going to be using a synonymous terms here. Dharmastapaka is totally different angle. Dayalu is a different angle. Dasharatha Putra is a different angle. All these things are referring to that one Adhisthana from different angle. Isn't it? It's not the same thing, no. This comes from one angle, that comes from another angle with reference to that Adhikarana. The Adhikarana is the person there. That person is what we refer as Rama, as Dasharatha Putra, and Dharmastapaka. All that is different. Then grammatical one they give. All those words have to be in the same case. What we refer as vibhakti. All of them should be used. And these sort of sentences are very rarely used. They are not regularly used. Regularly we use the second type of sentence only. Rama brings water from the well for his son in a pot. This is the sentence we use mostly. This type of sentences we don't use on a regular basis. It is used in a very rare conditions only. Now the Mahavakyas is which type? That thou art. That refers to one. Thou refers to one. Art is this. Now this belongs to which category? Same way, I am Atma Brahma. This Atman is Brahman. Which category? First category or second category? See, this is all that we need to get. So, in this, one is referred as the direct meaning, another is referred as implied meaning. There are two types of meanings we derive. Now we have seen what is sound, then vakya, then the sentence. We have seen pada, vakya, and now we are going into the meaning of it. Artha. In that, there are two. One is that Vakyartham, another one is referred as Lakshyartham. Meaning, direct meaning of a sentence and then implied meaning. You see, implied one, indicative one. Two sentences. Now imagine old lady she's about to die or after her death, two sisters have shared all the jewels. Whatever the jewels are there. Okay, you take this, you take this, you take this, you take this, have been done. So one sister has taken that jewelry, one necklace, and she took that, and then this necklace is Kasimala. It was a few years back, Kasimala was such a fashion, in thing. Today, if you come with Kasimala to a wedding, I think, what's wrong with you? It looks very, very bad, So, what the sister has done is, she gave it to a jeweler and made that into a new design, contemporary design. And she is wearing that necklace and she is going for a wedding, to which her other sister also has come. This is happening after about 15 years. Okay. Now that sister is asking, the second one is asking this lady, where is that jewelry? Where is that was given by our mom? She says, Adha. And she says, no. This is not what mother gave. That is this, when she says, what is she referring to? That design is different, but the gold that was given then is the same gold we are using today. You see that? That the what? That's all it is. Now it becomes very easy. Now, how can you make that only three independent words? No, they are that, thou, art. There are three independent words. Prajnanam, Brahma, only two words. Right? Prajnanam, Brahma. How come it becomes a sentence itself, first of all? Aham, Brahma, Asmi. At least three words are there. Right? In that statement, Prajnanam, Brahma, the first, we would see, how can you call that as a sentence, first of all? And you are not only calling that as a sentence, you are calling it as what? Great sentence. Mahavakya. No, in the Mahavakya. What is that Mahavakya there? On what basis we are calling that as Mahavakya? Before qualifying that as a Mahavakya, qualify that as a Vakya first. That's why we study. All this we have to know only for what? Only for this. Rest are all very simple. Rest are all philosophy. For us, philosophy is easy. Grammar is kashtam. For us, philosophy is very easy. Sir. Very easy to understand. First cases, fourth cases, sixth cases, we start feeling, Pradama Vibhakti, Tudhiya Vibhakti, this is a problem for us actually, but otherwise it's very easy for us. So, what do we understand here? We understand Tat refers to the Ishvara, Tvam Pada refers to the Jiva. This, the Jiva is that Ishvara. That is this. So what do we have to do? In that equation, we understand Tat separately. We have to understand Tvam separately. And then we have to understand Asi. Equation. How we have to study all that things. All this content put together because it carries a heavy content. It is small, but it carries the content which is so heavy, it is called Mahavakya. Reason number one. Reason number two, Why we call it as Mahavakya? Because the prayojana is great. By understanding that statement, right? By understanding that small sentence, the effect, the impact, how it makes a difference to the seeker, it gives a huge phala, fruit. Since the fruit is so big, since the effect, the impact is extraordinary, it completely transforms that personality into something else totally. Because of the greatness of the effect, these innocuous statements were called Mahavakyas. Amazing one. Why they added this adjective to it? Say it's Mahavakya. Why it is such a big statement, sir? Not because it is lengthy, because the content in that is so heavy. This Prajnanam Brahma, such a heavy content. Entire Aitareya Upanishad is only that statement. Prajnanam Brahma is all that the entire Upanishad is. So if you have to understand that, you have to study the entire Aitareya Upanishad. Tattvamasi, entire Bhagavad Gita is only Tattvamasi explanation. Tattvamasi, that's all. For you to understand the 3 words, you need to study the entire Bhagavad Gita. 18 chapters or 701 shlokas you have to study. To understand the 3 words, you can imagine how much material it must be carrying in it. No? And each one is interpreting it in one way. That is a different thing. Like we just saw the 3 schools. You see, Shankara interprets that in one way, Ramanuja interprets in one way, Madhva interprets in another way. Now imagine it has to accommodate, it should be giving room for such possible interpretations. What sort of words they have to be? How can you call that statement as an ordinary statement? Pregnant statement there. Because of that, it is called as Mahavakya. So there's 4 aphorisms. This is the backdrop you need to have for the study of the 4 aphorisms. Right? So you don't, even if you forget all that we have said, it's okay, it doesn't matter. But understand why we called it as a Vakya, and that Vakya should have that reference point. What style of Vakya is this? Right? Then you have to understand why we called it as Mahavakya. That's referred as Samanya Karanya Vakya. Just to know that. Now, what is that? Each word, I'm not going to explain all that. So, what type of sentence is that, sir? Samanya Karanya. Samanya Karanya should have the 3 conditions. So, for Vakya, we saw three conditions. To call something as a sentence, it should fulfill the three conditions. Akanksha, then it should have that Yogyata, and then it should have this Sannidhi. 3. Same way, the sentence which is of this particular type, Samanadikaranya sentence, should have that reference. That also has 3 things. What are the 3 different words? 1 adhikaranam. Each word should refer from different angle. You can't have synonymous. He's very charitable. Also, he is philanthropic. No. Then it is not. Then it will not fall into this category. It should fall under this category of each one coming from one particular angle towards that one adhikarana. Adhikarana in that case is that person. His name, who is his father, what gives who is his father, another one, what did he do, and what is his quality. Or different qualities can be given, right? Each quality will, come from Saushalyam is another one. Dharmavan is another one. So each one has to come from one particular angle. Third one, all three has to be in that same case, vibhakti. It cannot be in different cases, which is a very rare usage, right? This rare usage word is very important, and entire interpretation by Madhvacharya with reference to this is based on this one point. It's a rare statement, sir. So the moment you say a rare statement, it needs to be investigated. Therefore, there is a special investigation techniques you have to employ. You can't use a general investigation techniques. You got to look into it in a different way. You have to study that in a particular way. Then go back to this analysis. So for all that, you need all this basic informations with you. So when you have this basic informations, with which if you go into the study of these 4 aphorisms, we can enjoy this. And why we are calling it as Mahavakya? Not because it is lengthy, not because it is confusing, because it is pregnant with meaning and bestows an extraordinary effect, blessing on the person who understands that statement. Therefore, it is called as Mahavakya. Okay, we'll see you in the next class.